standing in front of the Bembridge House, a house that is literally frozen in time. This 1906 Victorian era house is literally the most preserved house in the city of Long Beach. Yes, this house is very well preserved. Everything inside is from the 1900s. Everything belonged to Dorothy Bembridge, who was tragically murdered in the back of this house. Miss Bembridge was killed in the back of this house, and after her murder, a company called Long Beach Heritage purchased the house to keep it preserved and to keep that history going. This historic Queen Anne Victorian style home was built in 1906 by a banker named Stephen Green. Stephen moved into this house after he built it, him and his family, and from what people said, he wasn't a very liked or nice guy. In 1912, he and his neighbor got into an altercation. I was told that there was a house right there on that side, and Stephen was sitting on his porch. That neighbor told him good morning, and Stephen was so mad that he went inside and basically had a stroke and just passed away. From what I was also told, that Stephen wanted to take over that property as well, but he wasn't able to, and he just probably hated his neighbor because of that. Look at that witch's hat up there. I'm actually going to be taking a tour of this house and check out this historic masterpiece of a home. And yes, since there has been tragic stories here, like Miss Bembridge dying, getting killed, and the person who built this house, Stephen Green, dying, there are some ghost stories. Let's head on into the gate and check out this amazing, beautiful home. We have a garden on this side. Nice little nursery right here. Long Beach Heritage does do a ghost haunted tour, and that one happened last week, so I won't be taking that. I was told there were some mediums and people of that nature. Look at that structure. Yeah, like I said, Dorothy Bembridge was killed back here by someone who was stalking her. He was basically stealing from her, and one day she caught him. He went to jail, came back a few years later and stalked her, and we eventually got her back there. Supposedly online, the man that killed her was working for her as a handyman, but I was told that wasn't true, and he lived in the area. And yes, he saw this house and pretty much wanted to steal from an elderly lady. She was 89 years old. Here is the very porch that Stephen Green was sitting on when he got very upset at his neighbor for just telling him good morning. Imagine that. Yeah, he was a hothead for sure. This property has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places. The Bembridge House, 1906. I am getting a real liking to these Victorian homes. You see that 130 and 230 tours. I'm taking the 130 tour right now. Just by walking on this porch, you could just feel the age. So in the late 60s, the city of Long Beach wanted to tear down Dorothy Bembridge's home to basically expand this park right here. And she fought for her home, and she got it listed as a historic place. And yeah, they couldn't knock this house down after all, and Dorothy continued to live here. It's such a shame that Dorothy fought for this house. She saved it from being demolished. She didn't want to leave. She basically grew up here. After Stephen Green passed away, his wife Josephine sold the house in 1914. They sold the house to the Rankin family. Dorothy Rankin Bembridge has been here since then, until her murder. It was the year 1999 when Dorothy was killed. Yeah, and after that, Long Beach Heritage purchased this house, and now they give super amazing tours.
So when I said it was a jungle, I was not kidding.
Oh wow.
And then this is the picture, and there's the house that was literally right next door.
And that's
the one that's gone.
That's,
right.
That's the one Stephen got.
Yes, the neighbor
fire.
that Stephen did not like.
Wow.
So there were all sorts of trees that planted themselves. Dorothy and her brother planted these two.
These
after
two?
They moved in, yes. So we kept those two, and then we kept all the historic oak and magnolias that were planted, and the palms that were planted, obviously by the Greens. But there was a palm tree here. There was another palm tree behind this one. It was just too many. And anyway.
So how did Dorothy take over the house? Her family left it her?
Well, she moved in when she was 9. You're going to hear that on the tour. But they came from Nebraska. They actually, Dorothy's grandparents had already moved to Long Beach from Nebraska. Like, Long Beach's nickname used to be Iowa by the Sea, because there were so many Midwesterners that left the cold winters to come here. And anyway, and they lived on Golden, Dorothy's grandparents, which is, not very far away.
Uh-huh.
So they walked by and liked this house so much, they built a smaller version of it back in Nebraska. And I guess still there, but it's covered with trees. One of our people, actually a woman who was good friends with Dorothy's while Dorothy was alive, went back, not recently, a few years ago, and could barely see the house because too many trees, but it's still there. So Dorothy's grandmother wrote a letter to Dorothy's mom and dad saying, the house you like is for sale. So Dorothy's grandmother and grandfather actually made an offer on the house in 1919, and the offer was accepted, and that's when Dorothy and her family moved out.
Wow.
And a fun story is that, you never knew how long it would take for moving vans in those days to get here. So the stuff got here first before they did physically. So they put everything on the front porch. Even the grand piano was on the front porch. But, in those days, nobody stole things, not like today.
Leave that out today.
Right.
That would be handmade, and they just, both of them open, students just drive in and drive out, which is pretty cool. A lot of stuff in here is donated, like that tricycle. It looks good. And that horsehair came from this. I think that would be so bleachy. From a friend who saved roller skating stuff. So we sent it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. This is so cool. Yeah, she said Basically everything Christmas is up here. Oh man, so cool.
Yeah, sunset's nice.
I love sunset.
Yeah.
It's gonna make it cleaner waters too, but well, sure,
Yeah, exactly.
in and out.
Yeah.
So let's go to Pembridge Court.
In memory of Lane Johnson. Not sure who Lane was, maybe she was one of the tour guides, but a lot of these bricks were from the original foundation of this right here.
Changes to oak. Also, there's a toggle light switch in here. In the rest of my house, I have push buttons. You can see one to the left of the doorway there. You see it? But what I think is absolutely remarkable is what the workers were able to accomplish. I told you there was a wall here. It had the same paneling and molding that you see on that wall. They were able to remove it and repurpose it in this room to make these two rooms blend quite well together. You wouldn't realize it was from a different time period unless I told you, right? So we could just throw our food scraps down into it. And there's a little door on the outside wall, so we could remove it and then convert it into compost for the gardens. A lot more practical than just throwing it away, don't you think?
That's the garbage disposal.
Yes. My parents converted this into a bedroom for my grandfather, Alfred Taylor.
Such an old restroom.
Now, earlier, you learned that I enjoyed collecting quotes. Since I also collected poetry, I felt compelled to.
Mr. and Mrs. Green, when they built the house, they put in 7 stairs so the servants could go up to the 2nd floor without being observed. But Dorothy used this mezzanine for rest. Dorothy playing organ with 2 gentlemen and they have not been identified. Now, are you from Long Beach? So,
I am.
okay. Yeah, see, this is Rainbow Pier. And why was it named Rainbow? Because it had colored lights. And this is Ocean Boulevard. They used dark brown stain and a much lighter color on the station. It was also a bedroom that later on became Dorothy's bedroom. And now, why did they build that way? Well, their recommendation was for husband and wife to sleep in separate beds or separate bedrooms.
Significant, you know?
Yeah, throughout the house, yeah, there's a lot of pictures of,
She traveled?
she traveled
Yeah.
extensively. This is, here's the 2 display cases, have custom jewelry of Dorothy and her mother Hazel. The class is built around 1900. Those brought to an active use. For a house built around 1900, it was very luxurious item to have a wash basin. And so the Dorothy's bedroom and Neil's bedroom have it. Yeah. Now, what was wash basin? It is the lavatory, but around 1900, they used the word wash basin. Yeah. Well, here, I like to show you the picture of Dorothy. Yeah, she was maybe 6 to 8 inches taller, and she's wearing black tunic. That was her grandmother, and the hat she's wearing is the hat right here. And when Long Beach Heritage took over the house, somebody put her picture in the window, and the neighbors thought that was her ghost. But so there was a few years ago, there was a psychic group that visited the house, and they said, they declared that there's no ghosts in the house, and all the energy is positive. If we proceed down the hall. You know those two pictures?
Yes,
Okay.
Blue Boy, and I don't remember.
Pinky?
Yeah, they're in Norton Museum, Norton Simon Museum, Blue Boy.
So the hat Dorothy was wearing in that photo. Oh my goodness, look at this.
Pasadena, yeah, that's the one. Norton Simon in Pasadena, yeah. Blue Boy.
Yeah, also, Long Beach Heritage found a number of the clothes in the attic.
Yes, quilting is, I don't have patience for quilting.
This was Neil's bedroom. Neil was 4 years younger than Dorothy. She had a white basin, and the whole family was very musical picture. This is Neil, Dorothy, and their parents. And this is Neil's accordion teacher. And it just so happened that he was one of the husbands of Mae West. And that picture is of Dorothy's grandparents.
Wow,
It is,
beautiful frame.
And that is the tour. So there was a lot of history said on that tour. That tour did break down a lot of the history of this house, from the builder Stephen Green, from his death to Dorothy's family moving into this house, to Dorothy's murder that took place here at her beloved house that she loved so much, that she saved from demolition. Yeah, super cool chatting with Chris, president of Long Beach Heritage. Shout out to him for giving me a lot of information about this house. But yeah, we were sent off with a postcard of this Victorian house. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm gonna leave it here. Take care, God bless, and I will see you guys in the next.